welcome to the attic, which as you can see is full of a lot of junk and is a mess, but that's what attics are. They're full of mess, and as the old saying goes, one man's mess is another man's mess, and one man's junk is another man's junk. Anyway, there's some interesting stuff, not so much here. I mean, that's a Windows computer which usually more or less works, but I learnt years ago that the only way to stay halfway to happy is to rejoice when Windows work, not get cross when Windows doesn't work. Just think how lucky you are that today it's working, and it is so far, fingers crossed. So what we've got alongside all this, buried in the eaves, those are the side parts of the attic, are all those photographs that I was given years ago when I was working as a journalist. And in those days, companies used to give away prints, 10 by 8 glossy prints, cost them a fortune. They'd send them to the press, hoping the press would print them in magazines, remember magazines, bits of paper, and most people threw away those pictures. Well, I'm a bit of a hoarder. I didn't throw them away. I stuck them in the eaves in box files, thinking one day I'm going to go through these and I'm going to archive them and scan them. And that's what I've been doing for my website, techiepics.com. But I thought it might be a bit of fun just to have a rummage around and bring back a few memories. The website, by the way, techiepics.com, there's a whole load of images that I've scanned from those paper photos that they used to send out to journalists. Most of the pictures there and the stories behind them are to do with television and video, because I got a grant from the Royal Television Society to do some of the scanning. I let it go for a while because I got fed up with it, but maybe I'll start again. But we can have a look at some of those, the original pictures, and I just think that a website can be pretty tedious. It's a bit like going to a library. I think today most people actually want something a bit more in your face, a bit easier to look at. So that's why I thought it might be an idea to do a YouTube channel out of the attic. Yes, well, this is in the dreaded eaves, where there are many box files full of photographs and maybe some old tapes as well. Anyway, I don't actually fancy clambering through there at the moment. It's what I think you could reasonably describe as a friggin' nightmare. Oh, and this is the other side of the eaves, which is, if possible, even more of a friggin' nightmare. And this is after I got rid of about half the stuff, either to dump it or put it in the garage and perhaps sell it. But there's still enough here to sink a battleship. Gosh, there's also a gazillion leads, which in theory means I can connect anything to anything anywhere, but law of cussedness means that quite often the one lead that I want is missing. So to get into the eaves, which is behind there, I've had to pull out some stuff that was piled up against the door to the eaves. This pile of DVDs and Blu-rays, which people have been kind enough to give me over the years. They go to Oxfam. They go to the Oxfam in Bloomsbury because they have a good system there. They actually index the stuff instead of throwing them all in piles and baskets that people can't be bothered to go through. They actually index them into genre. So, good place to look for discs, Oxfam Bloomsbury. And then there was a whole pile of satellite receivers, which are going to have to be, most of them thrown, junk. I think I've got rid of the analog, there's a few digitals left. Sky. One of the interesting Sky ones, the ones that had component outputs as well as HDMI. They stopped that because they found that naughty people were hooking them up to gaming capture devices and stealing movies that they'd recorded. Actually, these ones are not any good anymore because the capacitors all went leaky, and so they're for the skip, the junk. Anyway, now that's pretty much, yeah, we've now got a door open to the eaves, so I'm not going through there, I can't face it. I think I'll have a quick look through this pile of stuff that was blocking the attic eave entrance. Early FreeSat boxes. That's a clever box. That used USB sticks to record Freeview television. You stuck sticks in the front. That way you got a recording of a Freeview program, maybe a movie, that you could then take out and play elsewhere. I mean, all the modern boxes, they record to a hard drive that's locked inside the box and you can't get it out. Now that was a nice bit of kit called a Gigo. I don't know what happened to them. It was that deserved to succeed. That these are Grundig, yeah, free. Yeah, that was free. Yeah, now one of those original Sky boxes that had component outputs so that they could plug into gaming capture, and that's why they stopped making them. Humax, nice stuff that had a faulty HDMI, so that's going in the bin. Yeah, much better Humax, more recent. Okay, early. That's not actually analog Sky. It's one of the very early digiboxes. And more. I think maybe they're digital like that. Gone. What have we got else? Oh yeah, these tiny little Freeview boxes before Freeview was burnt into just about every TV set. The price of those came down to about 10 quid. And oh yes, interesting phone that Philips made before they kind of went out of that business. It's voice over IP with Skype, except Skype then changed their system so that the phones that you had, cordless phone, DeX phones, wouldn't work. Thank you very much, Skype. That was after they were bought by Microsoft. And piles of remote controls for long dead equipment. Do you know, that reminds, all these are junk, whereas if it were a Sky remote, it would probably still work. I mean, that was the cleverest thing that Sky ever did. They set a design for the remote that stayed the same. So when you changed your Digibox or anything, you knew exactly where the controls were on the remote. How unbelievably stupid it is of all the manufacturers of Freeview, FreeSat, televisions. All the manufacturers have a different layout for their remote controls. Utterly crazy. Still, the world moves on, and that's perhaps one of the reasons why Sky is so successful. Right, now Robert, say hello to the YouTube audience.
Hello.
Right, now what we got to do is try and get in the eaves. So, if you come up here and we'll let that flap down. If we let can you get in there, do you think?
I think I can.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy.
I did this with you, I remember.
Right, now, what we're looking for is box files of photos.
Yup.
And
Box files of photos.
there's, look, you can take that if that helps. That's that torch.
That torch.
That inspection lamp. Now that's going to give a bit more light. So if you,
Photos computer.
yeah, so what are I mean, there's masses round there. So what are those ones there?
So if I let you take
What, can you read out what they are?
photos computer.
Okay, good. So, success. I now have what I wanted, which is some of the many box files of pictures. So, come next week, or whenever, we can start having a look at that. Gosh, look at that. Alan Sugar with his early computer. That made him... Oh, and who was the PR man? Nick Hewer. The one who went on to do the programs with him. Gosh, yeah. One of the original memories from the Quantel electronic devices. Oh, comparing it to a mechanical memory. Gosh. I don't know what that... Oh, an apricot computer. Gosh, remember them. Anyway, let's leave all that. That's pleasures in store for the future.